Alright, so this is a older Craftsman Eager-1 lawnmower, and it's in need of a service. As you guys can see, I've got the bag for it, thankfully, so that boosts up the value quite a bit. And it does need a few things. It needs a new starter pull rope, or at least it needs the recoil adjusted. But I will be replacing that pull rope just because it's kind of good practice to do so. Also, we'll be changing the oil. We'll be pulling the spark plug out, inspecting it, and cleaning it up with a little blowtorch. We'll be replacing the carburetor. It's old and decrepit at this point, as well as the air filter. And probably the first thing we're going to do is pull this off. Okay, recoil's off, and now we'll be pulling the gas tank off and just kind of setting it back. And of course, in order to do that, you have to take out your dipstick tube. You can take out the dipstick, so we'll do that as well. And we'll just let this sit off to the side like that. I will be looking in this tank a little bit better and seeing what kind of shape it's in, but I don't think it's that bad. Now we'll get onto the carburetor. First, we'll remove the beauty cover here. We also have another couple bolts in the back. Lift her off, and then that's probably going to dribble a little bit of oil, so treat that as you will. So there is a little bit of damage to this fuel line. It shouldn't look like this. So now I'm going to remove the exhaust, just because it's in the way. It makes things a little easier. So get that out of the way. Now, of course, you have probably the easiest way to pull these off. And it looks like we're going to have to do some cleaning, but we can do that later. Simply move it back, pull your linkages out very carefully, and then we have a PCV line that needs to come out. And what I'm also going to do off camera is clean this all up, because it's just really dirty. With a simple Harbor Freight paint scraper, you can clean up a lot of crap off of something. So I just need to get the shot back. And so like I said earlier, these Tecumseh carburetors, they're kind of junk, in my honest opinion. But what we can do is replace them with a good aftermarket one. And these Chinese ones, I've had pretty good luck with them, amazingly. So that's why I keep coming back to them and using them and everything that I need to do. Just for shiggles, there's the linkage. So we'll pull this fuel line off, and I will go get another piece of fuel line to size this one up to. That thing is completely destroyed. What's even better is these Tecumseh carburetors. The fuel lines always seize on there. And plus, when they're old and nasty like this, they just don't hold up. So go size up another piece. First, pull this PCV line off. This is still in good condition, so I'm not going to replace that. But I will clean it off a little bit. So basically with these, you have to pull the intake tube off and put it onto here. And you'll have this manual throttle control, which you'll have to hook up to the governor on the lawnmower. You guys can see this thing's just really bad. In fact, the butterfly valve is completely frozen up. But we'll also need to pull this off. So we have a new gasket that was provided to replace this one. Just for the record, the inside of the tubing here is fine. And you just want to start the nuts. Everything's set up right. I will say that you might need to set your idle speed, because you can see on this one, the idle speed screw is actually almost all the way in. This one's out a little bit, so we might have to adjust that. Again, not a big deal. But this is more or less ready to go back onto the lawnmower. But I'm going to bring the tank up here and inspect that. Alright, so now we're going to be replacing the pull cord on this, and I will be putting a little bit of lube in there as well. It's actually functioning as it should be. I think this is just a issue with the pull cord. But all you do is pull it completely out like this. Grab yourself a flat tip screwdriver, jam it in, and there you go. So, we're going to be cutting and sizing up a new pull cord. So with your old cord, if you're pulling off of a spool like this one, just size it up. I actually like to make them a little bit longer than I need to compensate for the knot you have to put inside there. So, put right about there. And lighter. That cauterizes and melts the end, so it makes it a lot easier to manage. And actually, for posterity, I'm going to put one extra wind in, well, I don't know if I really can. And there you have it. For some of these I like to go through the back way, meaning through the back and fishing it through off the front. Makes it a little easier depending on your application. So again, what you do now is just lock that in place and tie a small knot. There you go. So now it's not going to pull out the other side either. And pull the screwdriver out. Works nice and perfect now. So I'm just going to shoot a little bit of liquid wrench in here. Bad. So that's ready to reinstall. So all I've done is reconnect or reinstall both the bolts and reconnect the linkages. Vacuumed up all that other crap, and I've got the gas tank all cleaned out. It's just drying off in the sun right now. I'm going to go blow it out with some compressed air, and then we'll start going back together with all this. Alright, so I've gotten almost everything back on. I'm just reinstalling the gas tank, and we'll be putting the recoil back on and replacing the air filter. Alright, so here's the old air filter. It's in pretty rough condition, so that's trash. And here's the new one. Throw it into its cage. just like that. And there you have it. So let's throw some gas in it and see what happens. Alright, so provided it starts, we'll go ahead and let it run for a little bit so we can warm the oil up, and then we'll proceed to change it, then pull the spark plug out and deal with that. Probably adjust the carburetor speed a little bit. Yeah. Oh yeah, she's in need of a change. Spark plug looks okay. We'll go ahead and check the gap, clean it up with the torch, refill with oil, and hopefully it'll be good to go. I also need to pop the blade off, but you guys don't need to see it. So before I clean it up, I'm going to check the gap, 30 thousandths. There we go. Was a little less than it should be, so I'm just going to clean it up. I'm happy with that. I love these little torches. Spark plugs back in. Just serviced it with oil. I switched brands to the SuperTech brand. I was using the Shell Rotella. But this stuff, I don't know that it's necessarily any cheaper, but it's just a lot more convenient having a 2-gallon jug instead of a 4 or 5 quart jug. So I serviced it up. Let's see what we're at now. Might have to add just a little bit more. And we're good. Oil's right where it should be. I don't know how well the camera can see that, but it's just below full. So I'm fine with that. I love this little bench grinder. Just put a nice blade, nice sharp edge on this. It's actually really damn sharp. So now just to reinstall it, it's all balanced and everything. So before I go on to sell any lawnmower that I, decide to get rid of, I always run them for a little bit, make sure they cut the grass okay, and seems to work okay. Let's try it on some thicker and harder stuff. Honestly, that's not too bad. It did bog down just a little bit, but I think these are only like 3 or 3.5 horsepower engines. They definitely don't have a whole lot of power, but as long as you go slow, really like any lawnmower, it'll cut just fine. Not too bad. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Now just to give it a bath. Stay tuned for more.